So this is a funny one. Kyle is at the Super Bowl when Denver played Green Bay, talking about John Elway and Mike Shanahan. In the NFC, he won 13 games in a row, 13 Super Bowls in a row. And Kyle said he was sitting in his dad's hotel room with his buddy, and they're watching White Man Can't Jump. And his dad's in the living room working on a game plan. I'm like, Dad, do you think you guys have a chance? And he looked at me like I was the dumbest person in the world. He's like, are you serious? I guarantee you we're going to win this game. Of course, they ended up winning 31-24. I was shocked that they won that game. Shocked that they won it. Also, too, he said, trivia for you, I was technically the last guy ever to hold cords for a head coach in the Super Bowl. They went wireless the next year.
Oh.
But you watch the highlights of the game, and you see me behind my dad, the kid with the pimples. So it's a lot. We're going to go through this here, but who has the most to gain? 888-957-9570. Who has the most to gain with a Super Bowl win? Kyle Shanahan or Brock Purdy? Kyle Shanahan or Brock Purdy?
I don't know, man. I just look at when I look at some of these coaches around the league, Bruce Arians, his entire career, he was undervalued, and then he won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, and he gets elevated, right? Now he's Super Bowl champion Bruce Arians. I believe Kyle Shanahan, is a much better coach than Bruce Arians. Not to diminish Bruce Arians' impact on the game of football. I just look at what Kyle Shanahan's built in a very short period. He's 44 years old. When you win that one early on in your career, it changes everything. Mike McCarthy is, a lot of people think, a doofus, right? He's not a good coach. Mike McCarthy got a championship 15 years ago, and he's been riding it out. And he's going to have a 25-year career as a head coach. Sean Payton, same thing. Mike Tomlin, same thing. Tony Dungy is on television to this day because of that championship. Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer was one of the great college coaches of all time.
Right.
But most NFL fans know him because he won that championship with Jimmy's guys. So I look at Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll winning one Super Bowl totally eradicates the horrific decision for most people of not handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch.
Yep. He still lives with that, though. Think about what could have been for Pete Carroll.
They could have won 2 in a row.
I think they would have been in prime position to win 3 in a row had they win that Super Bowl.
You might be right.
I mean, they lost to Carolina the next year in the divisional round. But had they won that second one, who knows what happens? I mean, it's a decision that's going to haunt them. Think about that. Pete Carroll has the national championship and a Super Bowl win. One of the few coaches, I think it's Jimmy Johnson, Pete Carroll. That may be it. Barry Switzer.
Yeah.
Barry Switzer. 3 guys who won, and Jim Harbaugh's going to have the chance to do that. But at both stops, USC and Seattle, you think, boy, 4th and 2, no Reggie Bush on the field in the Rose Bowl? Boy, 3rd goal, New England Patriots? You don't give it to Marshawn Lynch? Big game blunders.
It's a great point. But B, you know who else shares that with him and who just got a World Series ring a couple years ago? Like Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
Dusty Baker, if you hire Dusty Baker, you know that your team is going to dramatically improve in the clubhouse and going to be a great regular season team. The question is, I don't know what the hell is going to happen when come playoff time. He's going to lose in a fashion that's going to leave him to be scrutinized.
Yep.
Marv Levy. Is Marv Levy not one of the great coaches of all time?
He is. He doesn't.
Couldn't win the big one.
Couldn't win that big one.
And I find the exercise maddening because it discredits how great some of these guys who don't have championships are. But you do need that checklist.
Well, Shanahan's going to be around. He's only 44 years old. So we know he's going to be coaching for a long time.
If he wants to, 20 years.
Yeah,
he's got another 20 years.
He's already got the extension.
Possibly.
This is why Brock Purdy has the most to gain. The guy's making $900,000 this year. He wins a Super Bowl. We're talking about a dude who can command $40 to $50 million a year.
Even if they do the Jimmy Garoppolo, run it 700 times and throw 5 times?
They won't do that with Brock.
No, I know, but I'm just saying hypothetically they win a Super Bowl. Does it matter how they win it? Because I feel like if Kyle wins, period, no matter what it looks like, I think his life changes forever.
Well, in this article that with Peter King, he's riding along with Peter King in a Tesla. By the way, Shanahan has a Tesla. It's pretty funny. He's driving a Tesla. He's saving on gas. He's going electric.
I got a hybrid. I'm not mad at that.
Welcome to the club now. Welcome to the club. But he's discussing the Tom Brady situation. And Shanahan told Peter King, Peter King asked Shanahan, did you tell Brock Purdy you tried to sign Tom Brady to start for the 49ers last offseason? And Shanahan goes, I'm glad you asked me that question. He goes, yes, I was serious about it. You know, he talked to Purdy. He goes, as we talked, I'm looking at Brock, and he's got his arm in a sling. And I am really not sure I've got a quarterback who's going to be ready for the start of the 2023 season. That started all of it. He's trying to talk about, I got to be fair to my team. But he goes, I actually thought it was giving Brock the biggest compliment. I let him know he's our long-term guy. No question. And if Tom Brady wanted to come here and start for 1 year, that's the only way you're not starting when you're healthy this year. That's pretty cool. I wanted to assure him, don't worry, you're our guy. But how cool would it be if Tom Brady would be the quarterback for one season? How cool would it be for you to learn from him? I mean, if Brock never got hurt, this wouldn't have been a consideration at all. I never had brought it up, but I've got to think about the team. What if he's not ready in September? Now, I call cap on Shanahan saying that, hey, I assure Brock Purdy he's our long-term guy.
Why do you say that?
Because we heard it. We heard it about Jimmy. We heard about Trey.
I mean, that's the NFL.
You know, that's the NFL. So that's why Purdy has the most to gain. Because if Purdy stinks it up in Las Vegas, and we go into next season, and there's going to be a camp. There's going to be the Robinson Brunos. There's going to be the TCs and Sack.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of people saying, well, we're not quite sure if Brock Purdy's our long-term guy. Jimmy just did the same thing he did, although it looks different. No doubt, the comeback victories, Jimmy didn't have to do that. Brock Purdy did. It looks completely different. I think Brock Purdy's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. Not saying that. But if he does come up short, that text thread we had and what Twitter was doing and what people were calling about, there's no doubt there would be questions about Brock Purdy long term.
When you lose, both coach and quarterback get dissected.
They do.
Like a frog in sixth grade in the science class. There's no question about that. So then let me ask you, all right? What do you think, and as we talk quarterback and head coach, what do you think is the ideal game plan against this team? Is it running the ball 40 times? Is it dropping back 35 times?
I don't know, because Kansas City, as Baldy pointed out, I was watching the Ravens-Chiefs game last night before I went to bed, trying to get a feel of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what the hell their game plan is going to be defensively.
Well, I thought Baltimore's game plan would be to run the ball in that game.
Right, and they did. They got away from it. They got away from it. And Kansas City blitzed every other down. They just ran cover. They were blitzing every other down. All right, Lamar, we're sending a blitz. Now, if you do that against Purdy, he'll cook you. He dissects the blitz. He loves the blitz. He gets it out of the ball quickly. However, Kansas City knows how to take away the first read, so that does concern me a bit. I just don't know, because their game plan against Buffalo, Miami, and Baltimore are all different. They're all different. Buffalo, they allow Buffalo to say, okay, you can take the ball, take your 5 yards, take your 5 yards. We're not giving up any explosives. You're not going over the top on us. You're not going to hit us for chunk plays. You're going to have to nickel and dime your way down the field, and we're going to test Josh Allen to see how patient he is. And you know what? It worked out for Kansas City. They advanced to the AC title game, and their game plan against Baltimore was completely different. So I don't know what it's going to be, but you got to figure that Purdy's going to throw the ball 25 times at least.
Yes, I agree. To me, I'm looking at Kyle Shanahan, and I'm saying to myself, the key to beating Kansas City this week, it's not one player. It's the perfect harmonious balance. That's the attack that they need to use this week. Yes, I want the 18 to 25 rushes for CMC, but I want the 4 or 5 running plays for Deebo Samuel. I want the 5 passing plays for Deebo. I want the 6 or 7 throws to Ayuk. I want the 6 or 7 throws to George Kittle. To me, the ideal way to beat Kansas City and how good this defense is to keep a balanced attack going. If they get too reliant on one guy, as great as CMC is, and as much as I've been pounding the table on you got to feed CMC, I think against this Kansas City defense, a balanced attack is the way to go.
This is interesting. Most to gain, 408 Comcast Business Text Line. Most to gain, Purdy. Most to lose, Shanahan. Interesting. I wonder why.
Most to lose,
Shanahan. More to gain, Purdy.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
So Purdy doesn't have.
I like that.
So Purdy doesn't have the most to lose. Why? Because he's the last pick of the draft?
Yeah.
Is he playing with house money right now?
I think to a degree. I think if we were looking at, people that we're relying on this week to show out, it's going to be Shanahan's game plan is going to be dissected and critiqued like no other, which can get unfair at times. I think Nick Bosa, I think CMC, I think Kittle, all your top dogs are going to get looked at. And I don't know, yes, the quarterback's going to be a big part of that, but I also believe, hey, he's only 24. Hey, it's his first big-time Super Bowl game. And, there's a level of, I guess, patience with the quarterback, given his age, that maybe you don't have for some of the premium players who are older, making way more money, and who have been here before.
I hear you. I don't know how you. We'll get to the game plan with Ball D. We'll get into that later in the week. I don't know if you're running and passing. I don't know how this is going to work out on Super Bowl Sunday. Niners can do both things. Kansas City can do both things. I think it's going to be an explosive Super Bowl personally, but I could be wrong about that. But just looking at this Peter King article about Shanahan, since we're on the subject, and I'm looking at our YouTube poll of the day. By the way, we're going to qualify somebody in just 1 minute. But our YouTube poll question of the day: who has more to gain from winning the Super Bowl? Right now, 62% say Kyle Shanahan, 38% say Brock Purdy. Very interesting to me. Peter King asked Shanahan about the Super Bowls that he's lost. He goes, "Are you still haunted by the Atlanta game?" Shanahan said, "No, it hurts. It doesn't kill you. You understand what happened. You understand you can handle it. You can take it. Haunted is such the wrong word. It makes you stronger, really. But if you tell me before the game you're going to blow a 28-3 lead and lose, I'd be like, do I ever come out of my room again?" You realize it's a sports. Any 1 in 20 different plays would have changed that game, but I also understand that the quarterback on the other side did the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. He performed surgery for an entire second half. The harder one was the Kansas City game, personally. So, kind of took a shot at Dan Quinn there, said, Brady's basically called you up, which is what happened.
He did.
But as you get older, you go through the experience and you try to control everything. You realize you can't. You also realize you can handle it, and you realize how much you love it. So he's basically saying, like, I love this stuff, and I can handle it. But the Chiefs Super Bowl does bother him. By the way, it's 7:30. 7:30, your chance to have eggs and toast with the roast. Be the first caller to answer correctly this next question. 415-523-4652. 415-523-4652. The question is, we were originally supposed to hold the Doobie Awards on Friday, January 5th, but we had to postpone the awards due to what occurred in the Warriors-Nuggets game the night before. What happened at the end of that Warriors-Nuggets game on Thursday, January 4th, to force us to postpone the Doobie Awards? We postponed it. What happened at the end of the Warriors-Nuggets game that forced us to postpone the Doobie Awards? What happened at the end of that game? Answer that one correctly, and you will win a spot on the morning roast. Eggs and toast with the roast. 415-523-4652. You know what happened?
I do. And I would love to meet some of these people who are going to have breakfast with us this Friday to get fired up for the 49ers. We got Proposition Chicken bringing food in. I could go for some Proposition Chicken right now.
That's tough.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm excited. Get the answer and let's do this. Part of what makes some of these like all-time coaches is we believe that they have these powers, and I think it's absurd at times. Are there good coaches and bad coaches and stuff in between? Absolutely. But we act like they have like some seance, some like ultra power to see into the future and to know, like a premonition, you're going to be one of the all-time greats. It's interesting how we do the sports mythology. Did Brady and Belichick, did Belichick know Brady was going to turn into Brady?
No.
But part of what makes the Belichick-Brady mystique so incredible is the way it went down and the teams that they beat along the way. If they don't beat the greatest show on turf, I don't think the whole Brady thing gets off to the way it gets off to. If they don't beat the Raiders in the Tuck game the way they did, I don't think any of the Brady stuff gets off the ground the way it did. There's this whole domino effect.
Well, Super Bowl 54 with Mahomes and Andy Reid. They don't come back. Well, the next year they got blown out by Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl.
It was a bad game, yeah.
All right? The next year they lose the AFC title game at home to Cincinnati. So now you're talking about 3 years of this dynamic offense with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and no rings. What that did for Andy Reid and Mahomes catapulted them to another stratosphere, and now they're on the brink of going back-to-back for the first time in 19 years. The team has not done it since the Patriots did it 19 years ago.
I mean, they're looking to be dynastic. I mean,
right. So it changes everything.
Absolutely.
All the woulda, coulda, shouldas or whatnot. But I'm looking at Purdy. The reason why I keep leaning towards Purdy, So I'm looking at all these networks.
Yeah.
Think about all the dialogue last week about Brock Purdy.
It's been Purdy mania.
The dialogue the week before. Amy Trask saying, hey, there's 7 dynamic quarterbacks, and then there's Brock Purdy. This guy, I keep saying it, he wins a Super Bowl, and I've said it all season long. He wins a Super Bowl, it could become the greatest sports story in North American sports history. Mr. Irrelevant. All the dialogue about critiquing him, Cam Newton saying he's the 10th best player on the football team, all this stuff is just ridiculous. You would think we'd embrace a story like this, but we haven't. But if he beats Mahomes on that stage, the quarterback's going to get all the love. Like, he'll run, Shanahan will get his due. No doubt about it. No, I'm not saying that at all. But, boy, I think Purdy has, you're talking money, you're talking about long-term security, you're talking about winning one as the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, who you deem as one of the 5-10 most important spots or positions, toughest positions in all of sports.
You win with the Yankees, it's different. You win with the Lakers, it's different. You win with the 49ers, it's different. It's inarguable.
Because you know what people will say? Shanahan couldn't win the big one.
Until Brock.
Do you
know what his record is in the playoffs when Brock finishes a game? 5-0.
Undefeated.
Yeah, so, I gave you the Mahomes stat with Andy Reid. They're 14-3 together. They made sweet music in the playoffs. I will meet you halfway on this. I believe it to my core. I think Jimmy G would still be the quarterback had they won the Super Bowl in 2020.
Right now?
I do. I think it's really hard to move off somebody who's won you a Super Bowl. It took forever for the Baltimore Ravens to move off of Flacco.
It did.
Right?
It did.
Eli Manning stuck around way longer than he would have had he not won the Super Bowl. And I just think that you give a little leniency to somebody who's won you a championship. Think of how many contracts the Giants, the Warriors have given out to people with championship pedigree. Now be the quarterback.
Yep.
Now be the quarterback of that team. And you beat Mahomes. So, to your point, as I'm coming around and I feel like I'm playing both sides of the fence, I do think you have a really good argument on Purdy.
No, I just feel like the coach is going to be here for a long time. We've got a coach.
But I think the perception about him, forget the job security.
The perception
His perception, I think, could change even more than Purdy's.
It's a good point. I mean, they both had let's be honest.
Right now, the view is Shanahan can't finish the job, fair or not.
He can't win the big one.
Yeah, and I hate that.
And the view of Brock Purdy is he can't elevate his team.
Yes.
He's a game manager, which I don't think, look, quarterbacks are paid to manage a game. Like, I don't get when game manager became this negative connotation about quarterback play. Like, yes, you have to manage a game. That's your job as a quarterback. Now, can you do it at a high level? Can you do it at a low? Like Jimmy Garoppolo, when they say he was a game manager, I would say, well, he didn't always manage a game very well. All right? The no throws, that's not a game manager. That's a quarterback who doesn't know how to manage a game.
I mean, the game against the Chiefs that you're referencing, he had a red zone interception that was one of the worst throws I've ever seen in my life.
Into the first half.
It was, and it sucked the life out of the stadium.
Kansas City went right down the field, kicked the field goal, go up 17-13.
Devontae, he got blitzed and just threw it up, three flies up off the back foot.
It was unbelievable.
It really was.
Unbelievable.
Derek Jeter thought that throw from the hole was reckless.
So attaching game manager to Jimmy Garoppolo is a disrespect to the term game manager. All quarterbacks are managing a game. Now, how do you do it? Do you do it at a high level? Like, Mahomes manages a game at a high level. Like, game manager, we twisted that whole term of game manager. It's very, very odd. Let's